Hello, guys, and welcome to the MSC Performance Podcast with me, Mark Coulson, and Max Hartman.
I'm in.
You're in. It's been a few weeks since we've done our latest podcast. I've been keeping you guys in suspense, but very much look forward to touching base again and giving all our listeners the latest updates of as to what's going on at MSC. So lots of exciting things coming up. So we'll talk about the Mekong Games, which we've got coming up this Saturday, which we're very, very excited about. A new bit of equipment coming our way as well, which will lead us on nicely to talking about today's subject, which is going to be based around the use of machines versus the use of free weights. So versus isn't probably the right way of putting it, because as we'll expand into, it's we're big believers that both have their place, and a good combination of free weights and machines will build the ultimate athlete. But that will be the kind of subject that we're talking about. So the viewers and listeners are always very interested to hear what's been going on in Max Hartman's world. So what's the latest?
Mate,
what's going on?
Been busy.
Busy skiing.
Had a few days off. I was off skiing in Bulgaria, which was it was just nice to be on a plane.
Yeah.
After the last 2 years, I think I started the COVID era hurriedly flying back from Canada from a ski trip, getting back as quick as we could so that we didn't get stuck over there when they started closing borders. And I haven't been abroad since. So yeah, it was really nice to get away, get some time on the slopes. Full disclaimer, it was a stag do, so it wasn't the most vintage skiing performance you'll ever see.
Wasn't Van der Sar?
No. Well, that's coming up in a couple of weeks.
Oh, what is it?
Yeah, it is.
Funny you mentioned that.
But yeah, like I say, I mean, outside of that, it's just been trying to stay nice and busy. I think we all had a nice kind of bump in business, and the diary filled up a little bit after Christmas, and the gym's been packed since, which is great. It's been awesome. And my diary is no different. It's been a really good, busy few months. So it's quite nice to kind of feel like coming towards the end of sort of Q1 with, a couple of nice trips, a few days off and a little bit of a break. But then it's just straight back to it, straight back on the gym floor, straight back to coaching, straight back in the clinic and the treatment room with a few new clients. And then, yeah, like I say, just keeping busy, getting it done.
Straight back on the horse, yeah. Speaking of holidays, not many people probably know, but I've had a little trip myself to Miami. I haven't talked about it much.
No, I haven't mentioned it, mate.
There's a bit on social media. You might have seen it, you might not have. Just stories. I haven't done a post yet, but I'll do a couple of posts this week, I think. You want something that's on there long term that people can see. So, but no, I mean, it was all right.
Barely even noticed you were there.
It wasn't too bad. Yeah. Went to watch the Heat play. Got a bit of stash. But no, we'll move on. Yeah, no, very exciting time at MSC. It has been super, super busy. Like I say, good momentum from the new year. Obviously, COVID not existing anymore.
Of course.
We've pushed on and it's just been very, very busy. We've got the Mekong Games coming up on Saturday, which is our third edition of the game. So something that we're going to be looking to run biannually moving forward. And so far, the first couple that we've done have been absolutely brilliant days. So really buzzing for Saturday. So we've got over 20 competitors. We've got 2 teams. It's just going to be good fun. We get the mic up, we MC it. It's good. It's good crack, good, nice and competitive, good fun, and just a great opportunity for a wide variety of ability levels in the group to come together and test out how far they've come. Really, it's just it epitomizes the best of MSC, I think, with seeing the improvements in people, in terms of how far they've come, for them to be able to see how far they've come as well and really test themselves at the limits or even beyond the normal comfort zones, and the community and atmosphere really thrives as well in this kind of event. It's just always so much fun. Really strengthens the bonds with the team, and it's what we're all about. It's people. When we talk about what we do here, we've got, you know, a list of, you know,
key values,
key values
key
that we do, and you know, the reason why we're doing it is to build that community and you know, build a place there where people can do all of the things that we talk about in the Mekong Games. They can test themselves, they can improve physically, you know, mentally, they can, you know, build confidence and see what they're capable of. You know, what we want to do here is build that, you know, real strong community for people who've got the, you know, got the work, got the home, and this is that third space, if you like. And so really, something like the Mekong Games really encompasses everything that we're about, really.
Yeah, agreed.
So it's going to be a mega comp. We've got some good events lined up, a good mix of like general conditioning work, some strength work, and a bit of strongman as well. So good luck to all the competitors that are taking part. And if you're not taking part, come down and watch. You know, it's free to come down, just watch and support your fellow members. Encourage them as much as you can. And you know, it's going to be a good day. Starting nice and early. Sonia's the one who's been sort of heading it up, so obviously it's a bit earlier than I would like on Saturday morning. But we're in at 8:30 for a 9 o'clock sharp start for the first event. And if you're late, Sonia will.
Yeah, you don't want to be in a cross.
Yes, you don't want to be on the wrong side. And so yeah, it's going to be a good day. In the evening, we've got social, so we're meeting up at 7 o'clock. And hitting up the JQ. So a few scoops. In fact, we're going Hockley Social Club. Hockley Social Club. Food optional, drinks optional, good time not optional. Must have a good time if you can. That's terrible chat. So what else got at MSC? We've actually just ordered a new piece of equipment yesterday, which is very exciting. And this will lead us on to our conversation about free weights versus machines. We have bought a new machine and we're getting it made from scratch and specified to exactly what we want. So it's going to take about 6 to 8 weeks to arrive, but it is a lat pull down / seated row combo. We're excited about this, aren't we?
We've been talking about this one for a long time. It's the one thing I think where, and again, this kind of leads us on probably to what we're going to talk about next, where, you know, we think, I'm a massive advocate of barbell training. I'm a massive advocate of the free weight stuff, barbells, dumbbells, kettlebells. I think for 99% of people, you can get 99% of the stuff you need to do done with a barbell and a squat rack.
Yes.
You know, chin-ups, squats, bench, you can bench out the rack, deadlifts, you can do rack pulls off there. You can literally do everything on with a barbell and a squat rack. That and I think that's the reason why we don't have a huge amount of weights machines here. You know, it's very different to going into a bodybuilding gym where they've got endless, you know, plate loaded hammer strength machines, that kind of thing. Massive advocate of the barbell, but that being said, there are definitely benefits that come with you know, kind of fixed path, stack loaded or plate loaded resistance training machines. And one that I think is very, very hard to replicate with body weight or barbell work is that kind of lat pull down seated row combination. Both of those are just are such nice movements. And with our cables, we get some good work done on it at the moment. But again, you know, when you've got a heavier stack that's really built for a lat pull down, it's completely different, and it's going to be it's going to be good. It's going to be great when that arrives.
Yeah, absolutely. I think with kind of, you know, overhead pulling work, I think, like, you know, your obvious one that comes to mind is the pull-up in regards to free weights. As we know, the pull-up is a hard exercise to do. Even if you're good at them, it's fairly taxing. You know, it's a big compound movement. And there are regressions, like, you know, to the pull-up, and like you've mentioned, you can get most of your work done with free weights and a squat rack, you know, with a pull-up attachment. And there are regressions to the pull-up, such as you know, band assisted pull-ups from the knees or the feet from the floor, but
it doesn't quite. Yeah, they fill a gap.
They fill a gap. They're not the best regressions.
Yes.
Banded pull-ups, like, you know, I remember when I first started doing those, I was like, yeah, this could be the answer. This could be the answer. But do I really see much carryover with So with the pull-up, regressions, like I said, it just doesn't seem to quite carry over. You go from bandage, you can reduce the bands and build towards a full pull-up, but
you're still working where, whether you're attaching the band to a higher or lower point, whether you're using a thicker or thinner band, you've still got these like big kind of jumps in difficulty from one band to the next, or from one rack height to the next on an assisted pull-up. These big jumps in difficulty, it's very hard to scale easily.
Yes.
And it's also very hard to quantify as well. Like I say, you could have different brands of bands from different shops or from different websites where the tension's not quite the same. And again, in a gym like this, as is the normal way, like bands break, bands snap, you get tied up with slightly different tensions on that kind of thing. So
it's a decent regression. It's still going to be some benefits from it, but the lat pull down is just
same way as a barbell. If you're doing, the reason why something like a barbell training is so effective, I think one of the reasons I should say is, if you're doing a bench press for the next 15 years, you can have tiny incremental jumps that are completely under your control, assuming you've got the plates in the gym. Our plates here go down to 0.25 kilos each side, so you can add half a kilo at a time. You've got these really nice incremental progressions, and physiologically that's how the body works, these little adaptations to each training stimulus or to each bout of training. And sometimes the regressions involved in a chin-up just don't quite fit that profile. It's harder to have those tiny little incremental progressions, and you actually have these big step changes where you change bands or change setup. So having a machine like that you can, you've got a full weight stack on, you can really have total control over the resistance you're using and progressing that over time. It's just valuable. It's a very important movement and a very important kind of movement pattern to be training regularly. Got to be strong through that range of motion, got to be strong in that kind of plane and through that movement for a variety of reasons, whether you're training for purely aesthetics or for sports performance. And it's a great tool to do it. And then the seated row, probably the same sort of things apply. Things like a bent over or a pen lay row, you do have limiting factors like hamstrings, lower back, that kind of thing. But a seated row machine,
back with a bent over row, if you're doing a lot of deadlifting, RDLs and things like that, like to go from that into barbell bent over row, pen lay rows taxing, it's taxing.
So to have that seated row machine as well, would be great. It'd be really nice. Really good.
Definitely. Go back to lat pull down. I think into technical stuff as well, with a pull up as well, you can have legs swinging all over the place when we're trying to learn that movement, lack of trunk control. Are we really pulling from the scapula, or are we kind of forward and just ramming with the elbow? And it's whereas lat pull down's a good opportunity when you're learning that overhead, pulling movement to, let's take the legs out of the equation, let's get that trunk, nice and hollow in a good position, tall. And actually, starting that movement with that with that retraction of the shoulder blades, and rather than someone who hasn't quite got the strength swinging around on a pull up. It's a real nice movement for that. As you say, seated row I really like, because I think it's something you can load up quite nicely. And again, bent over row, pen lay row, barbell rows are quite taxing, especially if you've got a lot of deadlifting and pulling in your program already. So just that, take the shearing forces off the lower back, seated position, as you say, nice and tall. Let's engage.
There's just less variables,
simpler movement, easier to get what we want out of it. And then also, I think important to stress that, not just for beginners either. If we are, so if we're talking about the seated row and you're an advanced lifter or power lifter or anything like that, it's let's say you're deadlifting heavy weight, you're trap barring heavy weight, potentially RDLing. A very nice alternative to just take that load off the back a little bit and hit that middle back the way we want to. And then same with pull-ups as well. You might be doing pull-ups on one day, and the second day might be let's hit some lat pull down. And
I'm excited for it now.
I'm
excited for it now.
Good bit of kit. And like I say, we're very we don't pack the gym full of machines. We are obviously a strength conditioning gym. It's about movement quality. It's about work with a barbell. It's
basic stuff.
80%, let's say, off the top of my head, about free weights. But the machines do have their place and help support what we're trying to achieve, and that, we've got a lat pull down already, a plate loaded one, which is a decent bit of kit. But this stack loaded lat pull down from Pullham, who we work with closely, who only do top quality kit. To have that, lat pull down seated row combo is a good addition, to the gym. Yeah, so very, very excited about that. Leading into I think people will see we've got some other machines in the gym. One of which is the belt squat, also from Pullham, which gets a lot of good use. One of our members casually said the other day, do you mind getting another couple of these belt squats? Because in the barbell club we have a few people with belt squat in the program, and it's like, yeah, no worries, mate, they're about $3,500 a pop. But that's a great bit of kit, isn't it? Just for our listeners, with your barbell clients and with your let's say sports therapy clients, what are the reasons you'd use the belt squat over a back squat?
The belt squat specifically, again, it's just something where, and I think if we zoom out a little bit and think about why you'd use a machine over a barbell variation of something, to some extent, how you'd use the leg press might be similar to how you use the belt squat, as opposed to a barbell version. Generally speaking, what a machine offers is it reduces certain degrees of freedom, or it restricts or reduces the contribution of skill to a movement. So to actually put together a proper barbell back squat, where you're talking low bar, high bar, front squat, whatever it is, whether it's front squat or back squat, there's a certain degree of skill involved in that. You have to know how to organize all the different sections of your body. You have to put them in the right way so the movement comes together. And you can then safely and consistently do whatever movement it is you're trying to do. Whether you're trying to do a squat, a deadlift, a bench press, you've got to synchronize the whole body, put everything in the right shape, move it in the right direction, and do that consistently, the same week on week, rep to rep, to be able to replicate the same stimulus and to be able to get stronger over time, to truly get stronger. Whereas every machine in its own right, it's going to put you on a certain fixed path, or it's going to take a certain segment of the body out of it. The prime example being, a bent over row is very much whole body, where you're just pulling from your shoulder blades and pulling your arms back. If you do exactly the same movement face down on a bench, it's exactly the same movement, but it completely takes the legs and the lower back out of it. You're not doing any work below the rib cage, really. Yeah. Belt squat's very, very similar, because the weight is essentially hung around your waist. Everything above that belt, everything above the belt line, everything above that where the kind of harness sits on you, you're taken out of it. So it relies so much less on control and skill and strength to some extent as well, around the lower back, the core, the upper back, the shoulders. It just takes the weight off it. Leg press probably the same, so even in even greater degree, because it reduces even more the ability to kind of sway side to side with the weight shift, and it's a completely fixed path machine.
Yeah. With that belt squat, you still got to have that.
Yeah, there's still going to be some ability for you to shift onto your left foot or onto your right foot. You still have the ability to control a little bit. So, I think every machine has certain benefits, or what depending on what you're trying to achieve, that might be a benefit, that might be a drawback. But it greatly reduces the contribution of skill to a movement, and at times you want that. At times we want to try and teach someone how to move better.
Yeah, this is it, isn't it? It's variety between the two.
Exactly that.
Horses, as they say.
And a lot of it depends on, I think, training goal as well.
Yeah.
One thing that we keep coming back to, one thing I keep coming back to is the fact that where a machine comes in very, very handy is if our main objective is to try and not just make someone be able to lift more weight or to feel better or be more mobile or just move better or just be stronger. If our goal is to change the actual shape and size of a tissue, so we're talking about muscles, we're talking about tendons, then a machine's really good, because you don't put any skill in there, because you remove skill as a component, because you remove skill as a variable. It just lets you put pure stimulus and pure work into a muscle and really force either a lot of fatigue or a lot of tension. And that's a really powerful driving force when you're trying to change the shape and size of a muscle, the shape and size of connective tissue. For some people, that's a really important thing. For other people, if you just sit at a desk 30 or 40 hours a week, we're not necessarily worried about the size of your muscle. I just want you to be able to move more.
Yeah.
I want you to be able to be flexible and mobile and have a base level of strength. It's not imperative that we, really change the thickness and the size of your distal hamstring tendon.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're a track sprinter and you run fast for 2 hours a week, 3 hours a week, 4 hours a week, you need a pretty thick distal hamstring tendon. You need that to be able to tolerate load. So machines might be a good option at times.
Yeah.
It just depends on you as a person, what your training goals are, and the adaptations that are going to underpin those goals.
Boom. Done. Next.
See you next week.
No, I mean that's That essentially that's what it is, guys. Yeah, and I think as you've said there, I mean, it's horses for courses, the individual. It's and ultimately everybody who trains is going to use a variety of free weights and machine based work. Some are more than another person, but ultimately these are tools. Free weights and machines are tools that are there to basically help us on our way towards our goals. So really silly to just neglect machines when they do have a place. Yes, of course, we want people to back squat well, front squat well, lunge, move with free weights. That's our primary goal.
Great tools that can do a hell of a lot.
But great tool that we can do a hell of a lot with. So we're going to keep that nice and short and sharp today, guys. I think that's that's what we wanted to cover. So if you've listened to that, hopefully you've got a better idea now of why we use machines. If you're not really using them too much, maybe you might start using them a little bit more. And really looking forward to getting this lat pull down seated row combo down here, and so it's going to get a lot of use, and looking forward to it. And might not be the last machine you see down at MSC in the near future. So keep your eyes peeled, watch your space. Fantastic. And again, good luck to all the competitors at Mekong Games on Saturday. Just to repeat myself from earlier, if you're not competing, please come down and watch, get involved in the social in the evening. It's going to be a great day. So thanks for listening, guys. And we will see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.
Nice one. Thanks for having me.
Cheers.